You've been asking for it. You've been on the internet going, when is it happening? When does it happen? It's finally happened. We've got a new table. Isn't that nice? Ooh, look at that. Nice bit of mahogany.
Also, we're doing news together.
That as well. If I'd known, I'd have brought him in. You'd like that, wouldn't you, honey? I know they would. Here's your wrestling news. There is a toxic power struggle within WWE, and we've got the details. AEW and WWE stars are teasing an MMA showdown. And a former Impact champion has come out of retirement. Find out whom in a little bit. So throughout the last 7 days, we've been talking about the release of a whole raft of NXT stars. And this has led to a lot of conversations about stuff going on behind the scenes. And it's not a happy place to be at the moment, is the WWE.
It doesn't seem it, not just for the wrestlers themselves, but everyone. I mean, you've got to be like, wherever you work in the company, you've now got to be worried about your job security.
Yes, indeed. And the Observer says quite a lot about this toxic power struggle that is going on within WWE, saying currently there's two camps within WWE, those for and against Triple H running the company. Meltzer has described WWE as having a behind-the-scenes power struggle involving those who fear for their positions and when Levesque takes over and thus want to undermine him, and those who support Levesque. It's been considered a given that Levesque will be running the wrestling end and Nick Khan the business end if something should happen to Vince McMahon. And this sort of toxicity within the company is kind of what has led to a real, and you can kind of feel it, this disconnect between WWE and NXT.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, imagine being Triple H and you've cultivated all of these stars, a lot of them very, very popular, the likes of Karrion Kross, the likes of Bronson Reed, and many of the other recently released names, and then your father-in-law comes in and goes, right, they're all gone. They're all gone. Like, it must be so demoralising for that to happen.
Speaking of those two names in particular, this toxicity within WWE, according to the Observer, was what led to Karrion Kross having this losing gimmick on WWE. Regardless of how you cut it, like, oh, it's leading to something, trust the process, you still have a major champion in a division losing twice in a row on television. So, however you cut it, that's the thing that's happening. And this is despite months and months of strong booking in NXT. And as you mentioned there, Adam, Bronson Reed, Dave saying here, those internally said that when Reed got his tryout matches in recent weeks, McMahon decided against him and felt that if he's not going to be on the main roster, what's the point in keeping him? So therefore he was away as well. What a missed opportunity that was with so many, but Bronson as well.
Oh yeah, I feel like the guy could have easily been a future star on the main roster as well. He's not a difficult guy to book, is he? He continues. This is Dave. Levesque had been thought to be untouchable, but in failing to stop AEW's rise, even though they're not competition, and eventually losing the war, it gave both his detractors and those who felt he would replace them the obvious ammunition. And once again, continues, even though they were NXT releases, it was Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis who were the ones who decided who would be cut. Those in NXT said that not only did Paul Levesque not have a say in the cuts, no input there at all, but they weren't even aware of them until after Laurinaitis started calling the talent.
This makes NXT all the more a development territory in the keeping of OVW, because it harkens back to how when Jim Cornette was running OVW, he'd find out like very late in the day, oh, by the way, you can't use that guy, or that guy anymore. So it feels more like a development than ever, not just on TV, but behind the scenes as well.
Plans have changed so much. You think back to Survivor Series, NXT coming out on top, looking like it was going to be established as the third brand, on the level of Raw, on the level of SmackDown. And now, what has it become?
It's going to go back to being a developmental territory, essentially, as opposed to this
but with big
super
boys,
easy.
Not little boys.
Big boys, which I thought Bronson Reed was. Anyway. Let's talk about some real fighting. Let's talk about MMA.
Let's talk about some real fighting.
Talk about some real fighting. Now, you can't call yourself a proper grudge in professional wrestling unless there is an LCD video game based on said grudge. Whilst Gabe Stevenson and Jake Hager can't call themselves that, they have certainly started a few little eruptions, haven't they?
They have a bit of back and forth on the old social media, on the Twitter box. Jake Hager tweeted out, I bet $20,000 that Gable Steveson could not take me down. Gable Stevenson then replies, if you want to lose 20k in 5 seconds, then let's go. Hager, quote, retweets this. Well, someone has to pay the taxes for your gold. Would you like Houston, Chicago, or New York? Hashtag AEW Dynamite, to which Steveson replies, never heard of you. The DM for my address.
Who would win? But I would say, actually, but don't answer that question because it feels like what Jake Hager's put there. I mean,
Gable would win.
What Hager's tweeted, it sounds like something that you would tweet.
What,
I feel like I feel like you. That's the sort of thing you tweet. I bet 20
Soldier
grand.
Boy.
Knock your spark out, mate.
I haven't got 20 grand.
I like.
Nor's he, to be honest.
He just released a games console.
That's true. I apologise.
Soldier Boy pal. With Gable Steveson, I do like his approach to getting bookings by simply doing a wave emoji and then tagging who he'd like to work with.
He's done that. He's done that with Vince McMahon. He's done that with Dana White as well. It is just that easy.
Is it that effective though?
I bet if we did it, we'd get a few responses. All right. Okay. Right. We choose 5 people for each other. At them, little wavy emoji. Whoever gets the most replies or likes or retweets or whatever gets a pint.
I'm down for that. Let's do a big mega power.
Wave.
Oh, you tricked me. So I pick your 5.
Yeah, and I pick your 5.
All right.
Check our Twitters for that then.
Is David Icke still on Twitter? I'm not sure.
Lives down the road from me. I can pop round. He's on the Isle of Wight. I see him in the pub all the time.
Wave through the window at him. Over on Impact Wrestling, a former champion has come out of retirement. It was back in January where Madison Rayne said, forever, forever, forever. Killer Queen. However, 8 months gone, she is back.
8 months. It's not as bad as some, though, is it?
I mean,
Leo Rush retires and unretires 4 times a day.
As his breakfast, he retires, then he mows the lawn. Madison Rayne is now back as a part of Impact Wrestling. She helped Tennille Dashwood pick up a W over Taylor Wilde. It looks like they're going to become a thing. 5-time Knockouts champ is Rayne. 2-time Knockouts tag champ. Former Queen of the Knockouts in 2014.
She's class, isn't she? She's very, very entertaining. And I always thought, and I'm not taking anything away from the Impact women's division or anything, I was always surprised that WWE didn't get her on board. She was in the Mae Young Classic a few years ago, got knocked out first round. Mercedes Martinez, I think it was, that beat her. But I always just thought, man, she would be a really valuable asset in the WWE women's division.
Never happened.
Never happened.
Never happened. Well, she's back in Impact. That women's division in Impact Wrestling is phenomenal. Strong division. A very varied division as well. I'm a big fan of the work there. We're going to end this video sending some of our best wishes to the friends and family of a wrestling legend that has passed away. We are, of course, talking about Dominic DeNucci. It was announced by the Cauliflower Alley Club that he passed overnight. He debuted all the way back in 1964 wrestling in Australia. He went on to war with the likes of Killer Kowalski, Harley Race, Larry the Axe Hennig. He's a multi-time WWF Tag Team Champion. Won the international tag titles with Bruno Sammartino. And also both versions of Dino Bravo. 2 Dino Bravos.
I never knew that.
He hung out with both of them, did DeNucci. He wound his career down in the 90s, just like a handful of matches in that decade. Went on to train, and of course, we all know him as this legendary trainer of guys like Moondog Spot, Brian Hildebrand, Shane Douglas, and of course, Mick Foley. Mick talks a lot about the training he got from Dominic DeNucci. DeNucci calling Mick Foley an idiot for jumping off the Hell in a Cell that time.
It's not wrong. Fair enough.
His last match was at the age of 80.
Yeah, he did it in 2012.
2012 team with Shane Douglas.
I don't think Mick Foley's going to be wrestling at 80, is he?
No.
Can't put his socks on the poor
But DeNucci did. And DeNucci was big into fitness right up until we lost him just last night. So we send our best wishes to the friends and family of the late, the great Dominic DeNucci. More news as we get it later on at cultaholic.com as well. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.